In this video, we'll explore the problems and principles to revitalize Terrace district in Sydney. Since terrace houses were introduced to Australia in the 19th century, they are still often found in the older inner city areas. Even though these precincts are usually heritage significant, many problems have arisen around them with the unprecedented urbanization. We aim to improve social density and quality of life for people to enjoy life in the terrace house neighborhood. However, the design guides in New South Wales, including ADG, MDDG, UDG, and HDG, don't provide the guidelines to renew this kind of typology. Therefore, it is necessary to establish a new set of toolkits to address these problems.
By analyzing the existing policies and case studies, the toolkit comes up with three things: habitability, adaptability, and belonging, following with 9 principles. In this video, we are explaining 3 key principles: affordable, flexible, and dignity.
Affordable housing for all is one of the key targets in SDG 11. In Australia, it has even been reckoned as a right for every citizen. However, the cruel reality is they are not enough. Therefore, instead of listing as a consideration in the current New South Wales guidelines, we need to promote it as a principle in our new toolkits. Through the lens of Quinta Murray case study, a middle-class family lives reasonably well in around 80 square meters. But when they have no money, 40 square meters is enough to start with. A typical terrace is about 150 square meters. So to achieve affordability, we can divide it into 3 50 square meter units or 2 75 square meter units. By doing so, the whole district will have the potential to be densified as well.
Flexible housing responds to SDG 11.3 with the adaptability to all stages of life and increasing the connection of the community. Traditional terrace housing Surrey Hill stands one by one with long, narrow layouts, rigid and isolated. The case study inspires us with a new layout solution, drill key housing, which could easily be divided and shared as 2 apartments, 1 apartment and a workshop, or a single apartment for a large family, adapting to diverse household types or different stages of life. Another solution to activate the isolated houses is to combine parts of them as public spaces for the community. For example, aged care center, community workshop, or kids playground.
In the part of dignity, we would like to address with the SDG 11.7, which is about providing universal access to public spaces. Compared to the street frontage, the current central laneway between 2 rows of houses is occupied by temporary additional volumes used for storage or the pile of garbage, leaving the land to that space. The occupants in this community consist of the elderly and young migrant independents without nearby families. They are lacking the social ties and their average living standard is not particularly high. Similar problems can be found in the community of Micro-Hutong in Beijing. The architect preserved the spatial layout of the traditional courtyards and tried to give the sense of intimacy back to the residents. The strategy of our design guide is to extending the home space on the street and taking the public domain with community uses, revitalizing it to a playable street, and turn the backyard to the flexible urban living room, which serves as a transition zone from public streets to private family spaces. By doing so, we hope to bring dignity and harmony back into the terrace houses.
After reapplying the above principles to terrace districts and synthesize them into an ideal scenario, we may eventually rejuvenate this heritage significance with the force of life. And moving forward, our next goal is to further develop and articulate all these high-level principles into concrete interventions and criteria. That's it. Thank you all for listening.